Today's show is sponsored by Profit Accumulator, the UK's #1 match betting service. So what is match betting? It's a method that's used by individuals to profit from free bets and incentives offered by bookmakers. And when you sign up to Profit Accumulator, they will walk you through how to do match betting with their easy to follow video guide. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description and you can start your Profit Accumulator journey today. Hi and welcome along to the All Guns Blazing podcast with my man DT in the building. Sponsored today by Profit Accumulator. If you guys want to make yourself a little bit of extra cash, click the link in the description and they will guide you through how you can do that. DT, how you doing, bro? I guess you've been watching all of the international games. I guess you really enjoyed the game the other night. England beating San Marino by 5-0. Really epic game. And all the other epic games that have been going on.
Yeah, I've been gardening. Listen, do you know what? I actually think that DTFC would have gave England a better game than San Marino. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to them, but at what point now do FIFA just sit there and say, right, these lowest ranked teams, you know, throughout Europe, we have to put them in their own kind of group. So at least one of them or a couple of them can get to a major tournament, do something, win games. San Marino, you know, they celebrate corners because they hardly ever score. So it's like and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, Robbie, because fair play for them. But all right, it's
probably true. Man. It probably is true.
It is but it is fact. It is fact. It was. Can you remember all them years ago when England played San Marino, and I think we needed a certain score to qualify for something, and we went 1-0 down in the opening minute or something.
And
there was like utter shame and embarrassment throughout the nation. I think we won 8-1 in the end.
7-1 or something like that. We won in the
something
end.
Along them lines.
And people were still angry.
Yeah, they were like, how dare you let San Marino score past you? You let them have a shot on goal. And it's just like, it doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't benefit the teams that are playing against them unless you're trying to stat pad. You know, you're an international footballer and you're like, yeah, I can throw a few extra goals on my stats at the end of it or whatever. It doesn't benefit anyone, man. Genuinely, it's like they're of a non-league level. Do you know what I mean? Well,
worse, I'm not
going to be that harsh to them because they've got some decent players, but at that level against elite footballers, and you've got to remember as well, these are players that don't play elite. No. So they wouldn't have been playing due to COVID. They would have been facing...
That's actually true. The other thing
you know what I mean?
Well, they haven't played a game for ages.
Yeah, so they would have been doing the same stuff that we're doing with my team and everything, which is no games. And they're going up against elite level athletes that are training day in, day out, matches week on week.
England could have scored probably about 10 if they... You know, it's one of those games where it's so easy that players are trying to score when normally they maybe should have passed somebody in or whatever. You know what I mean? They, you know, Lingard, for instance, he could have played a couple of players in. He was obviously going for goal a lot of times. And I listen. I looked at San Marino, and no disrespect, but a team like Boreham would beat San Marino definitely. You know, and you're right. It just does nobody any favours, that type of game, in my opinion. No. But listen, it was a win for England, and we've got a lot of players on international duty, and they've been having a good time of it. You know what I mean? If you look at you know, Kieran Tierney had a real good game the other night. You know what I mean? A lot of Scottish fans there saying that, you know, because he played as a left back. And Robertson played ahead of him. There's a lot of Scottish fans saying that, you know, Tierney's better in that left back position than Robertson. So he had a good time of it. The players play on in the African Cup of, you know, Nations qualifying. Gabon through, Aubameyang scoring. That was great for him. Ivory Coast, Pepe scored there through. El Neni's Egypt are through. You know, Ghana They're through as well. That's Partey. All great, apart from what that means is that come January next year, all of those players will be on international duty. They'll all be in African Cup of Nations and be missing for a whole month nearly, which will be a nightmare for Mikel Arteta.
Mate, I just know already that we're just going to get the fixtures from hell in January when they're released. You know, we're not even near to even completing this season, and we're already now banging our heads about next season. And it's like, didn't they move the African Cup of Nations to the, like end of seasons, but COVID means that it's now gone back into the January form. Seriously, COVID, man, just leave us alone, man. It's like, come on. Normally we wouldn't be worrying because they'll be playing in the summer and, you know what as well, Robbie? Ain't we getting close to the World Cup where we've got to stop our season?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, mate. Do you know what? That's mad because that felt so far away. Like when that was announced, Qatar, innit?
Qatar, yeah.
That felt like a million miles away. Like, whatever. That's miles away. Yeah. Now it's around the corner, and it's we're actually going to stop our seasons mid-season.
You know the thing about it, right? Is that I don't think now that is going to be as much as a disruption as it would have been when it was first spoken about, because of the amount of disruption we've had with COVID. Remember, we've had the season just stop anyway, right? Yeah. Season stopped for months, uncertainty, not knowing. I think now, when that Qatar thing comes round, no one ain't even really going to moan about it, because we've just, over the past couple of seasons, by the time we get to it, we'd have been used to so much disruption and stoppages, and they'd be just like, season stops, so what? You know what I mean? Just another...
I don't know, man. I don't know. It depends how we get, going back to things. If we start going back to normality, like everyone's suggesting, and we're in full swing, full stadiums, it's kind of like, yes, let's go. Then someone puts that, right in front of you, then I think it may have a bit of a backlash. If it was now, nobody would care because nobody's going and everything else. And you know what? The funny thing as well, speaking about that briefly, when we say about fans, I saw this week a report that was suggesting that they could well be allowing fans into the Europa League final this season. Now, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. We've got a long way to go before we are possibly in a final. But they were saying, I think it was about 4,500 fans from each club would be allowed to go.
I can't see how they're going to do that, man, because, if you look at Poland, where the final is going to be held, I mean, they've just gone back into another lockdown, and they've been hit really hard by the third wave. So I don't know, man. I can't see.
Maybe they'll change the location.
Yeah, maybe.
They'll probably put it in Baku.
That wouldn't even surprise me. That would not be a surprise, trust me.
But I looked at it and I said that, do you know, the ironic thing is that if 4,500 of us are allowed to go to the final, there will be more of us allowed to travel to a game with restrictions than the amount that travel to a final in Baku with no restrictions. So doesn't that just show you how stupid that final was and where the location was?
Ridiculous final. Obviously, all of these games are international duty and stuff like that, and then we're going to be coming back after that. And what I wanted to touch on in this video is, what can Arsenal do this season? I was looking at it and I was saying to myself, I've been not sort of analysing and assessing and things like that. And I wanted to ask a question today, how Arsenal can have a great season, which sounds ridiculous to say, but we're going to get to that we're going to get to that in 1 second. Just before I do, right, I wanted to ask you your thoughts about, I don't know if you saw Thierry Henry saying that he's coming off of social media. He's not going to he's disabling all of his accounts and no longer going to do social media. He posted this on his Instagram a couple of days ago. He said, "From tomorrow morning, I will be removing myself from social media until the people in power are able to regulate their platforms with the same vigor and ferocity that they currently do when you infringe copyright. The sheer volume of racism, bullying, and resulting mental torture to individuals is too toxic to ignore. There has to be some accountability. It's far too easy to create an account, use it to bully and harass without consequence, and still remain anonymous. Until this changes, I will be disabling accounts across all social media platforms. I'm hoping this happens soon. And I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? Thierry taking a real serious stand on this. It's a real shame because it means that, you know, which is the great thing about social media, is being able to interact and see a different side of your heroes like Thierry Henry. He's going to be gone off of it now, but he makes a great point in there. And I loved what the point that he makes about them having the same vigor and ferocity to take accounts down, like what they do when it's a copyright infringement. I know people who've retweeted a goal, it's not even their tweet after a game. They've retweeted a goal and they've been warned that their account could be taken down because they retweeted a goal. There's people who show goals on their account and their accounts get taken down, which they're right to do that because you are nicking content, right?
Yeah.
But there's people who continually racially abuse people, continually bully people on social media, you know what I mean? Threaten them, say they're going to do this and that, and nothing happens. He's right. He's so right. How is it that they're able to get a goal taken down so quickly, or, you know, some stuff like that, but yet still, right, when all these other incidents happen, nothing happens. It's not taken seriously enough.
Do you know what the weirdest thing is, right? Is that so many of the social platforms, YouTube, for example, if you title a video incorrectly, that video can instantly be taken down because it will show up within their system that you're, you know, if you were to just say, for example, you know, Arsenal versus Liverpool, you know, it would show up on their system that you're showing the highlights of the game. They don't check. It's not somebody sitting there checking. It's a computer that goes, yep, done, wipe. And you'll get a strike. Same, they can even check thumbnails on YouTube instantly. But yeah, if you go into the comment section on YouTube, don't even bother. Then you go to Twitter, and it's like, I saw firsthand something, you know, this kind of thing was last week when Man United got knocked out of the FA Cup by Leicester, and I was having a bit of banter with Flex, and somebody in the comments, just out of nowhere, I noticed it, turned around and called Flex the N-word. I was like, nah. I don't normally like to highlight these people and like put them out there and give them that, you know, that energy that they want. But I was like, no, I'm going to put this out there because I want everyone to report it. I want something done about it. And I reported it, and then you get the normal, you know, generic messages that, you know, it doesn't see any breach of anything, blah, 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 because they use a, you know, like a different letter or a star to edit one of the letters out, for example. So
yeah.
You know, N star G, so on and so on. So the computer doesn't pick it up as being the N word. And it's like, well, what's the point? We all know what it means. We all know what's been said, but you can do it. It's like the C word, C-U-N-T. That's something that's become big on Twitter, and it always gets picked up. So now you see it, people just put a star instead of the U, for example. And the system doesn't pick it up. And it's like, you know, I've had this discussion with so many people, and look, listen, I'm not an angel, and I've said some things on social media in my time and gone at people, but it's in response to certain things, you know. And I'd say to some people, put yourself in my shoes, that some people say, oh, deal with it. I'll tell you what, maybe you should see the amount of stuff that gets thrown at you. It's not one or two things. You know, I get it all the time where I'm not even trying to banter people, wind people up, or whatever it might be. I could just put a normal comment, or I don't even have to say anything. Right? This is how bad it's got. I don't have to say nothing. Arsenal lose a game, and there's random comments about my wife. Oh, yeah, Arsenal lost. DT's going to go and do this. And I sit there and I'm like, come on, man. Like, and I've had people say, why don't you respond to it and deny it? I'm like, do I actually have to deny that? Like, if you know me, you know I don't. It's the most ludicrous, like, it's just horrid.
People can create, people can go on there, they can create rumors about you and it sticks.
Exactly.
Because if they do it enough times, it sticks, right? And then there's no consequence to that person. There's nothing. Nothing happens to them.
No, nothing at all.
They just move on to the next person that they want to harass and bully.
Yeah, nothing
and
at all.
You got people, and it's a minority of people, but you got some people on there that, you know, they're constantly bullying people, they're constantly racially abusing people, and nothing happens to them. And this is why Thierry Henry's taken a stand on this and saying that, you know, he's right. These social media companies now, they need to stop this rubbish about, oh, it's so hard to do. And because when it comes to, like Thierry Henry said, when it comes to somebody showing a goal or infringing on copyright, which of course that has consequences, because the big companies there will be very angry at a Twitter and that, and saying, how comes you're making people show our goals? We may stop advertising with you. They do something about it. And until they treat it like Thierry Henry says, until they're serious and treat it seriously, this is going to continue on and on and on. And you know, it's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. He's taken a big stand here. I don't know how many other people will follow him, because, you know, it's, you know, for people like us who our businesses are built around social media, so we just can't do that at the moment. But I must admit, like platforms like Twitter, I find it very hard to engage with people on that now. I just can't be dealing with all the negativity sometimes, where people just feel it's just a free for all, just abuse. I just can't be dealing with it. I'm just like, no.
I know.
You know?
I see it. Like I told you, Robbie, there's certain things, I get it all the time. And if it's not about my wife, it's about my brother, you know, and I just see it now. And you know what, me and you have spoke about this in racism context. And you turned around and said to me that you've got to a point in your life now where somebody will call you the N-words or send you a monkey emoji, and you now don't respond to it. You're now just like, okay, and you get on.
You can't be asked, because, as you said, there's nothing.
But this is the thing that's become normal.
Nothing's going to be done again. Nothing's going to be done about it. Nothing's going to be done about it.
But how is it right that that's normal? Because you should see that, and you should be hurt, you should be offended, and you should be able to take action. But it happens so much that you're like, oh yeah, I've just been called again. All right, move on.
It's a bit like in society when the rule of law breaks down. So when you know that, you know, you can go out there and you can, I don't know, you could go and rob somebody, and the likelihood of you getting caught is very slim. That leads to more robberies. The rule of law broke down. Nobody, you know, if anything, vigilantes form to deal with it, which you can't do on social media, right? Unless you go and wait outside, which has happened, where people have rolled up on people for saying certain things about them. But this is where the rule of law needs to happen on these social media accounts. They need to now start taking this seriously. And Thierry Henry, respect to him for taking this stand, because basically, hopefully, things like this will lead to these companies starting to take it seriously, because at the moment, they just don't. They don't take it seriously at all.
I think you need ID. I'm sorry, but I think you do. And I know
there's steps, man.
I see people sitting there saying about, but won't that infringe our rights? What if the data gets into the wrong hands? And you're saying all of this whilst using your iPhone, which has all of your details and data and everything stored into it anyway.
I agree. You should have to put your ID in there, right? And if you if you get done for doing this, right, and you get done more than once, right, they remove your actual account where you couldn't even get no account can be used from that actual, because they can do that.
Yeah.
Where, you know, your IP address,
yeah,
right, is gone. And that's it. And then that person is removed from social media. You know?
And the other thing as well is this multiple account thing, is that you should only have an extra account if it's business related, you know, like, for example, you know, like I've got a DTFC Twitter account as well as my personal Twitter account. So you can match the two together and go, okay, they're genuine. You know, it's not me, Mr. DT, AFC, adding this random account with a profile picture of an egg, and I use that to just go and view everybody's content that's blocked me and go and absolutely have a tirade on people or whatever. So something has to be done, Robbie, because we're getting to a point now where...
Listen, they removed the President of the United States account. Why can't they remove somebody who's racially abusing me account as well? I'm sorry.
Do you know what?
They got to start taking this thing serious.
Robbie. Robbie, do you know what? I'll give you a better example than the President of the United States, right? Was Wiley.
Yeah.
Right. He's the prime example. He was, you know, went on his speech that he did that day where he was talking about the, you know, the anti-Semitic stuff and everything else. And they literally shut him down.
Yeah.
Like every account from YouTube to Twitter to Insta to like shut down. Like,
but he shouldn't just be. It shouldn't just be that they can do that to high-profile people. They've got to be able to do that. The example is not set when you just do it. You've got to do that. Small accounts, the eggs, you said, that are doing these things, right? Not just shut down, IP address gone. That means that person will no longer be able to bring their rubbish to social media again. They're off. They're gone, right?
But that's what I was referencing. That's what I was referencing, that they showed with Wiley that you can shut everything down.
Yeah.
So why can't you do that to the average Joe?
No, they're not taking, because it's not taken. It's not taken seriously. It's not taken seriously, right? Those other people that you're talking about, where they're, you know, Wiley, President Trump, all these. There were literally campaigns of people who've had to to get these accounts taken down because of,
of course,
they were disgusted with certain things, right? But when, you know, if me and you just report a random person for doing certain things, nothing happens, and it's simply not good enough from these companies. Well, let's move on. Right? How Arsenal can have a great season? It sounds like a stupid thing to say with the season that we've had so far, right? But I was actually having a look at it, right? Now, bear with me now, right? I don't want to come across as an idiot here, right? But we know that Arsenal currently sit in 9th place in the league on 42 points. Currently, Chelsea are in 4th place with 51 points, right? So that's 9 points off that. You'd say to yourself, absolutely no chance of getting in the top 4. Be very, very difficult to get into the top 4. Tottenham are in 6th place on 48 points, right? Which is 6 points above Arsenal, right? Now, last season we finished 8th. Remember the season, I was having a big argument with some people about this yesterday, right? Remember last season we finished 8th. Right, so if we finish, and I know Arsenal fans ain't going to want to hear this, because I'm like this as well. I want to be in the top 4. I want to be challenging for the league, but that ain't going to happen this year. But if we finished higher than 8th, and we finished, say, in the top 6, that would be a bit of an improvement on last season, wouldn't it? It'd be a bit of progress. As mad as this season's been, it's not where you are right now, it's where you finish. Ask Leicester fans last season, who they were literally second the whole season and ended up finishing outside the top 4. Ask Manchester United fans, who were literally 7th and 8th with us And then they went on this unbelievable run towards the end of the last season, and they end up finished second, right? And getting in the Champions League. So that's one area. Then you look at the running, right? Now, I'm dealing with the league first. I'm going to get to the Europa League in a minute, and then I'm going to come back to you, right? We play in our next game, Liverpool, right? Liverpool at home. Now, it's a very, very tough game, but if we could get a win in that game, right? Difficult, but possible. Liverpool haven't been the Liverpool of last season, but if we could get a win in that game, that could set us in good stead for a very good run-in. When you look at some of the games we got coming up, after that, Sheffield United away, you would expect Arsenal to win that game. Followed by Fulham at home. You'd expect Arsenal to win that. Everton at home, difficult, but winnable. Newcastle away, you would expect Arsenal to win that. West Brom at home, you would expect Arsenal to win that. Followed by Chelsea away. All right, I guess you wouldn't expect us to win that, although we did beat them even when we were performing really badly, right? Crystal Palace away, we would be favourites to win that, even though Palace has given us some tough games over the years and we haven't always been, but we would be expected to win that, be real, right?
Yeah.
And the last game of the season, Brighton at home, we would be expected to win that. So I'm saying if we beat Liverpool and got our act together, it is quite conceivable that we could go on a good run from now to the end of the season, getting a lot of wins and get into top 6. I think top 4 is out of the question, but top 6, which that would be an improvement on last season when we finished 8th and out in the league, out of the European places.
Yeah.
Then option 2, I'm looking at, it could be also followed up with this, yeah? In the Europa League, Slavia Prague over 2 legs. Who's expected to win that? Who's the favourites? We are, aren't we?
Yeah, it's got to be Arsenal.
Right? Then you go to, if we get through that, we get into the semi-final, Dinamo Zagreb or Villarreal. Dinamo Zagreb, we saw they were really good against Tottenham. Villarreal, Unai Emery team. But, I know people are fearful of that, but Villarreal, like 7th, 8th in La Liga, they haven't had an incredible season. We would be the favourites to win against either of those 2 teams if we got to the semi-final. Which then gets us into a final where we'd be up against either Manchester United, who haven't beaten us this season, remember that. If we played Roma, good team, but I'd say we'd be favourites to win that. If we played Ajax, I guess we'd be favourites to win that. And if we played Granada, if they made it, we'd be favourites to win that. There's a pathway to winning that final as well, right? If you look at it, it was more difficult, I feel, last season to win that FA Cup when you had to beat Man City and Chelsea to win it than it would be to... So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, if, and this is a big if, and I know I'm making loads of assumptions here, if Arsenal get their act together, there's a lot of players at the moment that the squad is fit. We haven't got a lot of injuries at the moment. Remember, I'm talking about it at the moment. We've got a full squad, which means we can attack on both fronts these games. We can go really, obviously, I feel the priority is Europa League. We can go with our strongest team, but then we can go strong in the league as well. We can go strong in the league because we've got a lot of players fit. There's competition for places at the moment because of everybody being fit all over the pitch. There's 3 players vying for right back at the moment. There's... at centre-back, you've got Louise, you've got Holding, you've got Mari, you've got Gabriel, all vying for that position. Left-back, we know, is we rely on Tierney. Yeah. Right? Midfield, we know we've got to have Partey there, fit. You've got Odegaard, you've got who's on fire, you've got, when you saw that injury that he might have been out the other day, I was like, oh my God, but it turns out he's going to be okay. And then you've got Martinelli, you've got Aubameyang, you've got Pepe, Willian's even a little bit of form. You've got Lacazette on form. You've got Saka. Why not? Smith Rowe. Listen, if we got our act together and got a little run together, if we finish 6th and won the Europa League, that's a great season.
Yeah, I love. That's like 5 minutes.
Back into the Champions League as well, by the way.
I know it's 5 minutes of you like outlining your point, and yet somebody will still think you're an idiot. So, as you said,
is that beyond?
Like,
no. Listen, the thing is about it, DT, right? The thing is why I'm saying it. Should that be?
I get it.
No. One thing I want to say this. One thing I want to say this, yeah, and to anybody out there as well. I know people will be saying I'm an idiot, right? But should it be beyond our dreams to be able to achieve that when you look at, it's not like I'm looking at it and saying, right, you know what, in the running, to be able to possibly get top 6, we've got Man City, followed by Man United, followed by Chelsea, followed by Tottenham, we haven't.
No.
Those games there are winnable games that
they are.
Going into those, apart from the Liverpool game, going into those games, we should be favourites. And then I'm looking at, as I said, I look at the Europa League running, and I said, depending who we get, you know, the quarterfinal and semi-final, we should be favourites for those games.
Yeah.
Right. If we get there, you know, if we get into the final, even if you come up against, obviously you're going to come up against a very strong team, but it's a one-off game.
Yeah. I get that.
Two legs.
Robbie, the Arsenal and Manchester United are joint favourites for the Europa League with the bookies.
Right.
And they are for a reason. So if you were to turn around and say to me, who's the favourite out of Arsenal and Manchester United, then I would have to say Arsenal. Based
at this moment in time, on recent
results against each other. You know, Arteta versus Solskjaer, 3 matches, 2 wins, 1 draw. United haven't even scored a goal past us.
Yeah.
So you would have to give us the edge on that respect. But yeah, like I'm looking at it, and I don't get too ahead of myself in some respects because, you know, it's just the way it is. We always get let down at Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. If we could get our act together.
Oh, massively. Look, listen, Robbie, there's no reason why we can't. I do think we're going to finish in the top 6. I've said it. I do. I'm one of these that has had a look at everybody else's running. I have had a look at what everybody else is playing, who's what. They're all playing each other. Bar the Chelsea game when we got to go to Stamford Bridge, which may well be a very good time to go there as well because of them being in Champions League action, and they've got Porto in the quarterfinals, so it looks like they may well get to the latter rounds. It could be a good time to go there. We couldn't have asked for a better run-in than what we've got. We honestly couldn't. If you were to pick your teams and your running, you would have to say that would be pretty much what you would go with. We've done all of the difficult teams, bar obviously Liverpool next week, and that one Chelsea game. The other 8 or so are so favourable. You know, even when we're playing Europa League games, we've got to play the first leg, I think it is. We're playing Sheffield United before it, then we're playing Fulham after it. You know, we've just come off the back of playing Europa League games, and we've had Man City after it, Leicester after it, Tottenham after it. So why should we be going into those games with any trepidation and any kind of worry? You know, because two of those 3 that I've just mentioned, we won. Leicester away, Tottenham at home, and we went into both of them games with people going, yeah, you're going to lose. Yeah, you're going to lose. And we proved everybody wrong, and it was completely different. What I will say, if you're going to take the pros and cons from the West Ham game, then the pro would obviously be the way we played football for 60 minutes of that game. If we can play to that level over the course of 90 minutes, we'll beat anyone. Because I look at the way we played in that second half in particular, and how aggressive we were, how on the front foot we were. And yeah, I understand you do need to take risks given the situation you're in, but we showed we've got it within us to be able to play like that, to be aggressive, bully teams and push them back and be dominant. And it was just so dominating. We should have won the game with the chances that we actually had, you know. But if we do go into any of these games with the first 30 minutes against West Ham in mind, we can lose to every one of these teams. You know, so it's...
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's about getting the act together. And I think there's a couple of key things. Number one, the squad, right? If that squad can stay fit, you know, from now till the end of the season, right? Which is, you know, we're talking like, you know, 8 games left or whatever in the league, and plus the Europa League games and that. If that squad can stay fit, and also certain players hit form, I think some of these sort of backup players that look like backup players might be key to the running. Somebody like a Martinelli.
Yeah,
somebody
he's
like
going to be
Callum
massive.
Chambers, who the other day came from and put in a good performance in that game against West Ham. These guys could be key. You know, they could be key because they could be the guys that play against Fulham. And they could be the guys, or they could be the guys that just all of a sudden light up the place, and Arteta says, actually, I'm throwing you in to that Europa League big game. Because remember last season, semi-final and final, Saka had been having a great season, but it was Maitland-Niles who came in.
Yeah.
And was fresh as anything and played brilliantly.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes, that's why your squad, if your squad is doing well, it could be, and, you know, remember, from nowhere last season, we were having a terrible time. We finished 8th last season in the league.
Yeah.
From nowhere, we hit form towards the end of the season and ended up winning the FA Cup. Now, if Arteta can kind of repeat that trick of getting everybody really motoring, he's got his players now, I think, that he wants. He's got rid of Deadwood. I think everybody around that camp now is moving in the direction that he wants.
Yeah.
There'll be players there who'll be thinking, I need to finish this season strongly because I could be gone. He's gotten rid of all these big names.
Do you know what?
If I don't produce, I might be on my way out as well.
On the flip side, Robbie, there'll be some players there that are trying to get themselves to a Euros, you know, with their country. So, you know, even the likes of Saka, he'll be like, I've got to finish strong. Because there's no guarantee that he's going to be on the plane.
England got a very good squad. No guarantee. I saw the other day where, you know, Arteta was saying Lacazette even. He feels if he keeps this form going up, why can't France come and have a look at him again, right? There can be injuries that happen to other players. Honestly, if Arsenal get their act together and went on a good run, it could actually end up being a good season, which nobody would have put. Last season, I remember speaking to Expressions about this. He's like, Robbie, I couldn't believe it. How have you guys ended up having a good season? So I said to him, well, no, we didn't really end up having a good season because in the league. And he said, no, but you won a trophy. And when I look back on it, I was like, we won a trophy. We got into Europe by winning that trophy. It wasn't through the league.
Yeah.
And do we really care about that now last season that we didn't get into the Europe through the league?
Yeah, I'll get what you're saying.
It's all about where you finish. And that's what I was... The reason why I wanted to discuss this in this podcast today is because I was having this argument with someone yesterday and they were, oh yeah, but look at us. We're in 8. It's not good enough. I only give Arteta a very low score. And I'm saying you can't do it yet. Because the season hasn't finished yet. To me, you judge it when the season's done. If the season had finished now, and we had our league position where we are, and we haven't won anything, I agree. It's been a very poor season. So on the other hand. But...
Listen, at the end of the day, when you leave yourself wide open in that respect, like, I know that I've left myself open with certain things, because if the league does finish the way that it does now, then people are going to say, do you still trust the process? Do you still this, that, the other? But you can't go giving a manager's rating when the season's not actually finished, because, you know, you might give a manager, I don't know, a 3 or 4 out of 10 at the moment, for example. We go and finish in the top 6, win the Europa League. You look like an idiot in 6-8 weeks' time, because you just couldn't keep your mouth shut for a couple of more weeks.
If we would have rated...
And that's any fan in general. Fan in general. I just think that so many fans are being, you know, reactionary lately, and it's And I've tried explaining this, and I'm just bored of it now, and I'm going to have the discussion at the end of the season, because honestly, it's like I could genuinely turn around and talk to that, my wall, because that's what it feels like. The league position is not acceptable, but I also understand everything around it as to why we are where we are and what we need to do to move forward. And I referenced the video that I did with you 2018. And I told you as clear as day in Wenger's last season, we will drop down to being a top 8 team. And it's going to take about 5 years after Wenger's gone and a proper rebuild, season upon season, to get back to challenging and being the side that we want us to be. But some people just genuinely think it's instantaneous. It's going to happen. Now, you can go the route of Chelsea, for example, and get a manager in, get instant results, maybe win something, and then he's gone within 2 years. But what Arsenal are trying to do is rebuild the whole entire club, not just in a playing sense, but behind the scenes. From medical staff to CEOs to all these different people, Arsenal are trying to have a cultural change. And decades of everybody doing the same thing week in, week out. And we've sat there and alluded to this many times, that Arsenal became comfortable for players. How many players left Arsenal and sat there and said, I had to get out of my comfort zone. I had to leave. Because everything became the same. It was just generic. It was all just not doing anything. There was bad transfers. There was money wasted. There was, bad appointments, injuries, and all types of things. All of this is being ripped up. And that's what you're trying to explain to people. This is not 1 or 2 years of trying to rebuild just the playing side of things. It's everything. We've literally just got rid of one of our medical staff, sent him to Liverpool. Now let's compare our injuries to Liverpool. Now that's either a massive coincidence, or Mikel Arteta and the team behind him actually looked at that situation and went, yeah, I think that's maybe an area that we need to address. We bring in this guy that looks like the Incredible Hulk from PSG, and it's as though he's literally scared the players into being fit. Like, they're too scared to go up to him and say, yeah, I'm not feeling all right today. And he's just looking at him. Look at him. Anyone who ain't seen him, he's a big guy. So it's as though the players are like, nah, allow that. I ain't injured today. No back pain today. No, yeah, I'm all right. I can play this weekend. But no, in all seriousness, there's just been such a huge change. And it's decades of the same thing. And the question I keep getting, thrown at me is that top 4 was not acceptable under Arsene Wenger. So why is 8th acceptable under Mikel Arteta? Now, I will go into addressing this in depth at the end of the season as to why, the pros and cons and everything. But the simple basis of it is that under Arsenal and Arsene Wenger, it was never top 4 and move forward to be the best, like the top. It was simply top 4, earn some money, go in the Champions League, cycle, repeat. There was never ambition to go higher than 4th. Then you got to weigh up how stronger the Premier League's got. Then you've got to weigh up, the end part of Arsene Wenger's reign. And it didn't become top 4 anymore. It became top 6. We were dropping out of the Europa League. We were going to that performance in the first 30 minutes against West Ham, bar the Aston Villa game, where we deservedly lost and everything else. I can't remember a team ever doing that to us under Mikel Arteta. All right. If you go back to Arsene Wenger days, I genuinely have lost count the amount of games we've been humiliated like that. Over and over and over. Go look at the reactions of the fans after we went to Crystal Palace and got humiliated, right? We went 3-0 down against Bournemouth and pulled that around. And people have been bringing up the comparison over the last week of, what was the difference between the Bournemouth and the West Ham game, and why was I so angry? Well, it was because against West Ham, it's the first time I've seen that happen to us under Mikel Arteta. Against Bournemouth, that was not the first time I've seen that happen. It was a constant repeat of it over and over. We went to Nottingham Forest in a cup and they slapped 4 past us. Ironically, after that Bournemouth game, 3-4 weeks later, we went to Bayern Munich and they slapped 5 past us. They then come back to the Emirates, slapped another 5 past us. It's multiple times over and over. I've seen this happen, which is why it was not acceptable under Arsene Wenger. Why the top 4 was done. It wasn't enough anymore because I didn't see any attempt to go from 4th to 1st. All I saw was 4th, Stan gets money in his pocket, and we move. And it was a cycle over and over. You go to the season where you think, right, we can rebuild and really go and have a go at the title this year. We bought Petr Cech. That's it. That is it. That's all we bought. The money was there. The foundation was right to go to move that next step. They didn't bother. They didn't bother. The only thing that worries me under this whole entire reign of Mikel Arteta is not Mikel Arteta, it's the powers that be above him. Because they are still the same people that was there under Unai Emery, under Arsene Wenger. And it's whether they will back him. Because so far, I've got question marks. Because Mikel Arteta said, I need a centre-back, I need an imposing box-to-box type midfielder, and I need an attacking midfielder. They brought him Gabriel, they brought him Thomas Partey, but they didn't get him a Hossein Mouar. And those first 5-6 months without an attacking midfielder are the reason we're in the position we're in. Look at the difference before Christmas, after Christmas, when we do have a number 10 and when we didn't have a number 10. Ironically, last season, right up till January, Manchester United were in a similar situation to us now. They brought in Bruno Fernandes, everything changed.
Good points. Good points there. So, how's it going to end? How's it all going to end, Wobby?
We're going to finish in the top 6 and we're going to get to the final of the Europa League. I'm not going to call it the final yet because I'll be called an idiot. But like, we're going to get to the final, and first things first, yeah? Let's give the respect that Slavia Prague deserve in a playing sense. I'm going to make that very clear. But I hope that we don't just kick Slavia Prague out of the Europa League. We kick racism out at the same time with that. And a certain player in particular. I'm not going to label the whole entire club because that would be wrong. It's, you know what I mean? It's one individual, and let's go and do it for Kamara as a former, Arsenal Youth Academy graduate. Let's go and take care of that. And then let's go and then take care of the semi-final. I think you saw the pros and cons of Zagreb. First leg against Spurs, awful. Spurs should have been outside. The tie should have been done. And then the second one, they were absolutely immense. That was just beautiful football and the way that they took care of that. And Villarreal, if Unai Emery was not manager, none of us would be worrying about them. We'd be looking at their form in the the La Liga. The reason why I said Premier League is because it's gone very reminiscent for Unai Emery at Villarreal as to what it did at Arsenal. Great start, and everybody was mentioning my name all the time. Oi, DT, look where Villarreal are in the league. Oh, they're fighting for the title. And this was in October. We went on 22-game unbeaten run under Unai Emery, and it fell apart. Now go and tell me the statistics of Villarreal since Christmas. And how many games have they won? Very
reminiscent of like when we was on that run that a load of them were draws. And it's the same sort of thing he's doing there. But he does have a good record in this competition in the Europa League.
Yeah.
If Arsenal won that final and we finished 6th, is it a good season?
Of course it is. Of course it is. Anybody that wants to tell me otherwise, if we finish in 10th and we win the Europa League, it's a good season because we've completed our objective. And then it throws the ball back in the court of the club. You want Champions League football. you have a certain plan and a pathway for transfers in the summer window based on us finishing the Champions League. Go on then, go do it. Back your talk. Go on then. It's over to you lot now. Mikel's done his side of the thing. So it's over to you. But if we finish in the top 6 and win the Europa League, of course it is. Do you know what I mean? No rat can even put that down. Sorry, no chance.
Well, I'll tell you what, right? As I said, and I want people to just look at this objectively and just don't laugh at it right now, because it will be judged at the end of the season.
Exactly.
And that's what we should always do. You not judge a man right now. The season ain't finished. As I said,
you can't do. You can't judge. You can't look. You can sit there and you can give your point of view about a certain situation and go, this is not acceptable. There's parts of Arteta's game that I don't find acceptable, and I would like him to improve. There's certain parts of his game management that I would like to see different. But I'm not going to judge the man halfway through a season, because you make yourself look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can have reservations, but, you know, I don't... I've seen some fans tweeting out, you know, like, ratings and all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, hold on a minute. Like, just wait until the end of the season and then give your rating.
I think you can give if you do your rating, make sure you write on it so far, right? But at the moment, I'm just saying, I'm just saying that, like, I look at last season, and as I said, you look at your best example of that is Leicester City, who for the most of last season, everybody was like, Brendan Rodgers, unbelievable season, what he's achieved.
Yeah.
But in the end, he finished outside the top 4, right? He didn't achieve what everybody thought he was going to achieve in the end. And then Man United, who everyone was like slating right throughout the season, ended up finishing because of their unbelievable run. Right?
Yeah, of course.
End of the season, right?
Yeah.
That's why they got second in the top 4. And I'm saying, and even Arteta, right? After a very quite torrid season, after a great run in the FA Cup and winning it, it ended up being a decent season for him. So let's wait until the end of the season. But what I'm saying is just look at some of the factors right now. If the squad is fit, which at the moment, the other day, try asking somebody to do a starting 11 at the moment with absolutely everybody fit. We done a video on it on AFTV where we said your best team when everybody's fit. Everybody had a different team. Everybody's not quite sure who starts, right? That's what we've kind of got at the moment. You know, obviously the international break, let's pray that everyone comes back fit. Then, as I said, you look at it, the run-in is favourable. Liverpool's a difficult game, but that's why I started by saying, if we could beat Liverpool and then go on a great run, then also look at the Europa League. The last couple of games in the Europa League have been tricky games against well-established European big teams. I feel that, you know, if you look at your Slavia Pragues and you really, if you had Benfica and Olympiacos in the quarter and semi-finals, you'd be looking at it saying that's harder. Let's be real right now, right? So I think that if Arsenal get their act together, or keep everyone fit and play to their ability, they have a chance of winning that Europa League and finishing in the top 6. And if they did that, that'd be a good season. But I'd love to hear what you guys think. Leave it in the comments. One last thing just before we go, DT. Odegaard, do you think we got a chance of signing him? Do you think we'll get him? You know, there's so many rumors coming out. There's rumors. I mean, I've seen some of the rumors where Madrid have come out of Madrid where they said they're not selling him. I'm not sure. I think if Arsenal made a decent offer, I think Madrid, they're not flush with cash right now. They're going to be, we know what Madrid are like. They're always looking for those marquee guys. And the marquee guys is not really going to be a guy that they've already got. Right? I think if the money's right, you know, Arsenal, you know,
they've got targets. Real Madrid have got targets. It's been made very clearly recently that Zinedine Zidane will still be the manager. He obviously doesn't fancy Odegaard. They do have their Galacticos, as they call it, and they want to get those big names in. They're going to need to fund it, you know.
I mean, they're talking about wanting to move for players like Mbappe and that. you can't tell me if they're looking to buy a player like that and Arsenal turn around and say, we'll give you 40 million for Odegaard, that they're going to turn that down. I think it's going to, listen, nobody knows for sure. It's going to be really interesting. I said the other day, Gareth Bale might even help us out because he's saying that he's going back for next season. That's another 500 grand a week that they're going to have to fork out as well. That might help us out in the whole thing. So, but certainly from what we've all seen at Odegaard so far, it's been very encouraging. He looks already like an Arsenal player. And I think he'd be right at home at Arsenal. I think he's a Mikel Arteta player. He really is a Mikel Arteta player. Quality on the ball, but also puts the work in as well. But
it's the work ethic. It's the work side of things. I was watching the open mic Arsenal edit that they do from the West Ham game, and it was focused on Odegaard. And you can tell why he's been made captain of Norway. Because he's playing in a team with the likes of Laka and Obar and all these experienced older players ahead of him. And he's guiding them through the game. Left, right, centre, drop, attack. Like, he's literally guiding them all through. And I was like, he's a leader, man. And he's so intelligent. The pockets of space he picks up. And I think that West Ham game was when we've got our very first inkling of him and Thomas Partey together.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were like dismissing Partey's performance. There was nothing wrong with his performance against West Ham.
Little bit sloppy. He was a little bit sloppy to begin with. But as I said to people, I go, if you actually watch what Thomas Partey tries to do, he tries to play a lot of balls that splits the lines, right? And when you play those balls, they are they do get intercepted sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love the bravery. I love the bravery of the play. It can be very frustrating at the times when it gets given away. You're like, yo, what are you doing? But
you see
why. It was the bravery. It was our bravery on the ball in that game. After what I liked the most about that performance from 3-0 down was that bravery. It's like, we're going to get on the ball. We're going to play. We're just going to lump it. We're going to get on the ball. We're going to play. And all the goals that were created were great moves. And you wouldn't normally see that from a team that's 3-0 down. They'd be like panicking. And they didn't. We're going to get on the ball. We're going to play. And they outplayed a team that was 3-0 up. That's very impressive. But like you said, we saw the good and the bad of Arsenal in that game. Yeah, man. Cut out that bad, show some of that good, and we could have a good end to the season. DT, thank you very much for today. We'll be back in the studio next week, of course. Also, I want to thank Profit Accumulator for sponsoring this video. Don't forget, the link is in the description. Don't forget, you can download this podcast on all formats. And to check out all of our content on AFTV, don't forget to subscribe to us as well and like this video and keep watching and supporting the AGB podcast. DT, thank you very much. And we'll be back next week.